and I know the reason why. I got the drop on you and the things you do. I got the drop on you and the things you do, the things you do. I got the drop on you and the things you do. I got the drop on you and the things you do, the things you do. Takes its toll, I know, but I can't seem to stay away. Oh, you don't get me high no more, but I still love you all the same. Love you all the same. Using me is cool, but I don't feel a thing no more. Cause the one shot that I had to leave and call me back for more. Call me back for more. Call me back for more. And the things you do, got the drop on you. And the things you do, got the drop on you. And the things you do, I got the drop on you. And the things you do, the things you do, I got the drop on you. And the things you do, I got the drop on you. And the things you do, the things you do, I got the drop on you. And the things you do, I got the drop on you, and the things you do, the things you do. Loving you, loving you, loving you, loving you, loving you, do do do. Loving you, loving you, loving you, loving you, loving you, do do do. Loving you, loving you, loving you, loving you, loving you, loving you, loving you. Every day I wake up, I hope I'm dreaming. I can't believe this shit. Can't believe you ain't here. Sometimes it's just hard for a nigga to wake up. It's just hard to just keep going. It's like I feel empty inside without you being here. I would do anything to bring you back and give all this shit up. Shit don't mean nothing.
Saw your son today. He looked just like you. You was the greatest. You'll always be the greatest. I miss you, babe. Can't wait till that day when I see your face again. I can't wait till that day when I see your face again. Seems like yesterday we used to rock the show. I laced the track, you locked the flow. So far from hanging on the block for dough. Notorious, they got to know that life ain't always what it seemed to be. Words can't express what you mean to me. Even though you're gone, we still a team. Through your family, I'll fulfill your dreams. In the future, can't wait to see if you open up the gates for me. Reminisce sometime, the night they took my friend. Try to black it out, but it plays again. When it's real, feeling's hard to conceal. Can't imagine all the pain I feel. Give anything to hear half your breath. I know you're still living your life after death.
Every move I make, every single day, every time I pray, I'll be missing you. Thinking of the day when you went away. What a life to take, what a bond to break. I'll be missing you.
It's kinda hard with you not around. Know you in heaven smiling down, watching us while we pray for you. Every day we pray for you, till the day we meet again. In my heart is where I keep you, friend. Memories give me the strength I need to proceed, strength I need to believe. My thoughts big, I just can't define. Wish I could turn back the hands of time. Us in the six, shop for new clothes and kicks. You and me taking flicks, making hits, stages they receive you on. Still can't believe you're gone. Give anything to hear half your breath. I know you're still living your life after death.
Every move I make, every single day, every time I pray, I'll be missing you. Thinking of the day when you went away. What a life to take, what a bond to break. I'll be missing you. Somebody tell me why. One bad morning when this life is over, I know I'll see your face.
Every night I pray, every step I take, every move I make, every single day, every night I pray.
Every day that passes is a day that I get closer to seeing you again. We miss you, baby, and we won't stop, cause we can't stop. That's right. We miss you, baby.
Let us start by acknowledging that we are on sacred ground. This place carries the history, the spirit, and memory of community, both past and present. I would like to acknowledge the Bidjigal and the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians, caretakers, and spirit of this land and the surrounding waterways on which we gather and pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Hello, everyone, both here in the Coast Chapel at Little Bay and to those watching via our webcast. Welcome to this very special ceremony where we gather to honour the feelings, the connection, and the love that you all have for Julie Rosemary Weston, also known to you as Jules, Julie Patchouli, Ren, and DJ Crispy Knickers. My name is Anne Lee, and I am a civil celebrant, and it is my privilege to have been invited by Nick and Co to lead you all through this very difficult service. Our hearts go out to all of Julie's nearest and dearest family and friends, in particular, her adored husband Nick, her mum Jill in New Zealand, her brothers Francis and Peter, her nephews Daniel, Michael, and her niece Zara. We also acknowledge Nick's parents Eric and Raywin, and Julie's brothers-in-law Simon and Julian. I would also like to acknowledge Colleen, Julie's sister from another mother, who have shared a lifelong friendship. And there are other family members and friends unable to make it today due to the travel restrictions and border closures. And for this very special occasion today, we welcome Spud, who has come along as he is very much part of Julie and Nick's family. Although I did not know Julie, in hearing about her through Nick and their friends, I have a sense that she was a woman with an amazing soul. When I met with Nick and friends Sarah, Paul and Sale in Nick and Julie's gorgeous home in Maroubra, I heard words such as strong, resilient, independent, tough, adaptable, supportive, stubborn, positive, beautiful, loving, courageous, and all these words and more were told to me by people who absolutely adored her and who Julie made to feel that they were so important in her life. Julie was spiritual, non-judgmental, modest, measured and calm, and she saw the good in everyone. Julie loved nature, the earth, the sea, the trees, the flowers, and she loved her crystals. Julie was fun. She loved to dance. She was passionate about music. She loved a great party. And she searched the world for the best margarita. As we take this moment to reflect on Julie's life, on your relationship with Jules and the many memories you have created with her. We ask that you are at ease in being connected to your emotions, whatever they may be, and however you might like to express them. For when we open our hearts and our minds to the loss of someone significant, we also open ourselves to the vulnerability of the feelings and emotions of grief and bereavement. On this day, we pay respect to the connection and the influence that Julie has had on all of your lives as we begin the process of letting her go. As human beings, we all teach and learn from each other, children and adults alike. And I'm sure in Julie's time, there are many lessons and learnings that you have gained from her, whether by example or by inspiration. There is no doubt that she would have gained much from her relationship with you all as well. Julie's life, enriched by your presence as yours was enriched by hers. This ceremony today has been created with much thought and love. We will listen to some beautiful music. We will hear all about Julie's life story and watch a wonderful image slideshow, lovingly prepared by Nick and his friends. There will be some heartfelt tributes, lots of tears, I'm sure, and there will be a moment of reflection at the conclusion. There will be some words to farewell and send Julie off into the cosmos and beyond. So let's now begin with our tributes and hear a little about Julie's life with some reflective words and thoughts. We will begin with Stephen Davies, who will share a little of the story of this amazing woman and also share words on behalf of Jill Laidlaw, Colleen O'Neill, Julie's nephews Daniel and Michael, and I think there may be one or two others added in at the last minute. Stephen, please come forward.
Thank you, Anne, and welcome everyone. As Anne mentioned, I'm Stephen Davies. Nick and I have been friends since high school, and Julie and I have been friends since not very long after that, but we'll get to that later in the story. For those of us who are joining remotely, we're at a small chapel by the sea at Little Bay. It's one of Sydney's beautiful eastern bays, a bit of a hidden treasure on a stretch of coast much loved and much explored by Julie and Nick over the years. The weather is magnificent. The heat of the week is blown away by a beautiful southerly change that those of us who live in Sydney live to appreciate and look forward to. There's a rough sea running. The sea is boiling blue and green and white, and when we brought Julie in this morning, a kestrel was hovering above the chapel, soaring on the breeze and swooping. A kestrel is a small sea eagle, much treasured by the Sydney coastal community. It's a glorious day to send off our friend, and it's a day that Julie would have said is a magnificent day for a walk by the coast. Beyond the mouth of the bay, we're looking out towards New Zealand, 2,000 kilometres to our east, but very close to our hearts, because this is where our story begins. And before I do begin, I do just want to first acknowledge Julie's Kiwi connection that Anne touched on, because her roots have always been firmly grounded in New Zealand, regardless of where she has lived, and she's lived in many places. Kia ora to Julie's Kiwi whānau, who are streaming into our celebration today, to Julie's brother Peter, her birth mother Jill, and godmother Margaret, to Colin and Barry, to Julie's cousins and nephews, to the Beavis family, to Robin and Anne Sinclair, and to all our Kiwi friends, kia ora, and to our other friends far and wide, welcome. Please know that though distance and COVID may separate us physically, we feel your araha, your love for Julie, 'most deeply, and we send our araha to your araha nui. 'Kia ora, te reo. 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 'Kia ora, In pondering how to eulogise our dear, fabulous Julie, I've struggled as Julie lived such a dynamic life, so full of movement and love and laughs and beats and eats and friends as she danced through this life. So I'm going to take Julie's story to a few key places that she made her home. And in these places, most of us joined the journey with her. The beginning seems a good place to start a story, so we'll start with Julie's. Julie was born in New Zealand in 1963, and she's always been proud to share her birthday, the 14th July, with the National Day of France, celebrating as it does the end of hostilities and the coming of peace and unity. Over the years, there have been wonderful Bastille Day dinners in French restaurants where a keen ear might hear one table slipping a sly but a hearty bon anniversaire into the toasts of Vive la France. Julie was adopted at birth by Frank and Eileen Weston, who took her home to Forest Hill in the East Coast Bays of Auckland to meet her brother Peter. The East Coast Bays were a wonderful place to grow up in the 60s and 70s. Back then, that was the suburban fringe of Auckland, an exciting playground of beaches and bays that rose up into hills where kids ran free, and a girl like Julie could ride a pony across paddocks into forests and through creeks. The sound I remember most from my own childhood there was of many parents calling the kids home at sunset like some synchronised suburban call to prayer. Next door to the Western house in Forest Hill, another baby girl had been welcomed into the world, and Colleen and Julie grew up together as best friends, a bond that has been maintained lifelong. Colleen lives in Fiji now, and I hope you've been able to join us today and that you and Barry are safe from that looming tropical cyclone. I have some words from Colleen for Julie that I'd like to share with you now. Hey Jules, it's hard to know where to start, to try to put into words the roller coaster of emotions that I'm feeling at the moment. Firstly, I would like to thank you for being the dearest, kindest and best of the best friends. We grew up next door to each other, and I'm so lucky to have known you all my life. We used to play after school. We would explore the nearby farmland and collect pine cones. I'll never forget when we would get chased by the bulls. We sure could run fast back then. Nothing like the right motivation. You were my horse riding mate. Every weekend we would go riding all day together, and we loved every minute. We both shared a passion and a love of horses, and we had so many experiences. I remember when we would limbo under my horse's tummy. We were crazy. We would explore the untamed wilderness of Albany, the East Coast Bays and Okura by horseback, and considered ourselves the luckiest girls in the world. Our family summer camping trips were a highlight. Dad would pack up the car and the tent, and we would venture off into the New Zealand wilds, usually somewhere like Piha, Coromandel or Red Beach, but it felt like a long way away at the time. I remember when we had to run up the hill after the car when leaving Piha, since the car was not working properly and we couldn't get up the hill with us in it. So many wonderful memories for me to cherish. You have been part of every significant and memorable occasion of my life, and you've supported me through all of them. You were a fabulous auntie to Jordan. You always had my back. You raised me up if times were tough. You always had positive energy and encouraging words to share. You had a humour and a laugh which I'll forever miss. I'm so grateful for the time we've spent together since Barry and I moved to Fiji. We loved having you and Nick come to stay with. We had times playing Uno, although sometimes the rules did get confusing. I think that happened more with the tequila shots and the margaritas we were enjoying. The snorkeling and the boat trips we went to around the island were a blast. Thanks for organising the trip to Bali, and we went on a couple of years ago. You were the travel agent and made it the best trip we could have imagined. The rickshaw video with you and Barry is priceless. It was amazing to explore the country that you knew so well and sample the culture with you and Nick. Of course, we'll forget about the scooters, as I think that's a lost cause for both of us. We both had a crashing time with those. I know that you're looking down on us with a smile and continuing to send your positive energy and love. We will have a tequila toast for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being my sister, and most of all for being my friend. We will cherish you every day and miss you. Love you always. Colleen. I also want to share some words from Cecilia. Cecilia is the daughter of Julie's godmother, Margaret. Our memories of Julie. My sister remembers the story of how one of the family dogs, Bess, used to meet Julie at the bus stop and carry her bag home. Aspirational for Spud. My brother remembered how Julie used his 38 Chev for her wedding car, and we all remember what a beautiful bride Julie was. My mother remembers her mostly as a baby with a very good child, never a problem to her mother and father. Julie was my oldest son Anthony's godmother, and he remembers how kind she was. I remember Julie as always being fun to be around. She enjoyed a good joke, usually provided by Uncle Frank, and she loved to tell jokes. Julie, although we didn't see each other a lot as we got older, you are still part of our lives, and we will never forget you. You've been taken too early, but you lived a good life. You did the things you wanted to do, and you did them with a keen spirit. Go into the next life knowing that you gave love and were loved in this life. Our thoughts are with you and Nick and family. Kia kaha. Julie went to high school at Carmel College on the shores of Lake Pupuki, one of Auckland's extinct volcanoes, and it's just an idyllic spot for a kid who loved nature so much. Over the years, Julie has mocked me about this jealousy I have as a chip on my shoulder I can't shake, because my school was nowhere special and Carmel College was on the best swimming hole in the lake. But those nuns were terrifying, and they did not like snotty boys trespassing. After high school, Julie studied accounting and business at Auckland University of Technology, where it happened that a dashing young man named Nick, also from the East Coast Bays, was studying electronics. Young love happened as it does, and so began a romance as it usually does not, that has endured not just time, but has grown into stronger, deeper love and a palpable mutual respect ever since then. And together, Jules and Nick have built this incredibly rich life together of shared travels, friends, and amazing experiences. There are not many things I can tell you about 1981 in any detail, but I can tell you... Thanks, friends. Some people know me too well. Okay, I have some blank spots. I can tell you exactly which intersection of Victoria Street in Auckland I was waiting to cross one Friday evening, tired and on my way home, when Nick walked around the corner and said, "Hi, Steve, this is Julie." And I looked up, and there she is, Julie. All bright blonde rock star hair, sparkling blue eyes, white shirt, thin black tie, black suit jacket, skinny black jeans, black boots. It was as if Debbie Harry herself had stepped off a Blondie album cover. And I could take you today to that spot on Victoria Street and my jaw hit the pavement, just as hard as if Debbie Harry truly had stepped into the world. And in what I would come to know as true Julie style, she's like, "Hey, Steve, want to get falafel?" And with all tiredness evaporated, I absolutely did. And so Julie came into our Auckland group of friends, many of us who join us today. Julie and Nick graduated and made their way out into the wider world, travelling to Oxford in the UK, and then on to work in London, and eventually to Wilbury Park Estate. On top of all her other talents, Julie has always been impressively enterprising and managing their lives in a way that ensured that she and Nick are not only always comfortable, but always able to create the wherewithal for their next adventure. So Wilbury was where I next caught up with them, and where they were living and managing one of England's grand stately manors. It sits in the middle of 2,000 acres of idyllic parkland and farmland in the south of England. A wonderful adventure. It was like a television period piece brought to vibrant Technicolor life by Julie's flair, but also 2 incomes and free accommodation. Smart. Julie imbued the old walls of Wilbury Manor with her typical vibrancy, and life there was walks and cycles in the woods, tennis on the lawn, and G&Ts on the terrace at sundown, at least until the monstrous official lady of the house would arrive one weekend per month to raise hell and mercifully be gone again, at which point the fun would resume. And after Wilbury, Julie and Nick returned to London to work. I was working there too, and one of our close friends, Dave Rutherford, who joins us today, and his partner Jenny Miller, ditto, had arrived from New Zealand, and so we found ourselves sharing a house together with Gail Lee in Walthamstow, East London. So all are with us today, and Jenny has sent some words. I lived with Julie and Nick in London about 30 years ago. I struggled to remember a lot of that time. But a few things that are locked in and always will stay with me. Sometimes people come into your life at the right time, and Julie was that person for me. Like a lot of us at that time, I was struggling a bit to navigate the land and the waters. Julie was a new friend, but such an old soul, and I recognised and knew that straight away. She was my rock, and she let me lean on her whenever I needed to. She was so good and so strong and so beautiful, and we laughed all day long. I look back now and see that Nick and Julie were like paradise ducks, always together, each being the other half of the unit. They were a solid, stable force in our lives. If anything made our crazy, bad taste London house a home, it was them. All my love to you, Nick, as you go through your unbelievable loss. She'll still be with you. There's nowhere else she could be. On Walthamstow, I'm sure that Julie saved me from scurvy there, as she'll prepare these amazing healthy meals and force me to share them and break my curry and beer diet. And this was my introduction to Julie's incredible skill at understanding food and being able to create delicious, vibrant, healthy meals. Many of us here would know and love these joyous feasts. From London, Julie and Nick travelled Europe in a combi van, the beginning of their love for exploring new places that has continued since with so many amazing trips. After Europe, Julie and Nick set up house together in an apartment at Tamarama Beach in Sydney, not far from where we have come together today. The Tamarama flat became the hub of social and outdoors life for so many of their ever-growing group of friends, as Julie organised pre-party drinks before one of the grand Sydney dance party events, or margaritas and tapas after a swim in the surf, coffee and donut nights to watch Twin Peaks, or packed picnics and dinners to be enjoyed in the river cabin at Wollombi in the Hunter Valley, where we regularly spent weekends and holidays in the bush and the swimming holes amongst fine friends. It was the Tamarama home that cast in stone, like these magnificent cliffs, Julie's love for the eastern beaches of Sydney, and many of you here today will have joined Julie's story at this period in her life. It was from Tamarama that Julie and Nick departed for New Zealand in 1991 to be married on the 9th of January in the lush Waitakere Ranges behind Auckland. A wonderful day of celebration for their amazing love. Not long before the wedding, Julie's birth mother Jill reached out to connect with her, and they met, closing a vital circle in the lives of both and setting up a loving relationship. This araha and friendship closed a gap in time and in sense of self that only an adopted child and their birth parent can understand. Jill joins us online today from New Zealand and sends these words. We met just before Julie and Nick's wedding. There were lots of tears and laughter and questions. I was so pleased that she had had a loving upbringing with Frank and Eileen. I came to stay with them in Sydney and they to me in New Zealand, and I got to know them and love them both. Over the last year we talked heaps and texted, and she was determined to win. In my eyes, she is a winner and a star. I remember Frank, my nieces and brother, could not get over how alike we were in looks, sense of humour and mannerisms. Julie was beautiful. With her lovely flaxen hair, she looked like a girl from ABBA and was at home in the retro clothes. And I always think of Julie when I smell patchouli incense. She had such a strong, stubborn and determined nature, which served her well in the hard years to come, and also very loving and loyal. Throw her a challenge and she came straight back. Nick and Julie were soulmates, so loving and caring of each other. She was so happy. I was privileged to have had you for a daughter. He put his arms around you and lifted you to rest. God's garden must be beautiful. He only takes the best. The next place in Julie and Nick's story is the first house that they bought together, a two-storey Victorian terrace in Sydney's Surrey Hills. Surrey Hills, a busy part of Sydney's inner city. It's always a buzz with people, cars, drunks yelling, dogs barking and whatnot. But amongst all this hubbub, Julie and Nick created in Riley Street a beautiful, peaceful oasis where on many, many occasions groups of friends would gather around the backyard table to dine on Julie's increasingly amazing feasts. It was at Riley Street that Julie and Nick brought a beautiful puppy into their lives, into the lives of so many of us. Andy was adorable, a fun-loving, people-loving Staffy Terrier with charm and abundance and a love for walking and for swimming adventures, of which there were many. And it was from Riley Street that Julie and Nick launched so many adventures up and down the coast of Australia, to holiday, to visit with friends, into the outback at Uluru for Nick's 40th, to Thailand and to Bali, and regular visits home to New Zealand. After Riley Street, the next place in Julie and Nick's story is their home today, in Maroubra, just 2 bays to the north of where we stand today. So many of us here could tell so many stories of the love, the laughs, the good times shared in that beautiful home that Julie and Nick have stamped with their characters and creativity. They brought in modern architecture and funky mid-century modern decor, picked up in exotic places like Palm Springs. to complement the older Federation style, and have created an amazing space that breathes and is cool in summer, warm in winter, and just so conducive to eating, drinking, swimming and chatting with dear friends. Spud joined their family and found himself to be the luckiest pug in the world, with a constant stream of humans to cuddle him and sneak him barbecue treats. Over the past couple of years, as Jules and Nick took this thing on so valiantly, fought it with everything they could find and managed it with class and with an unflinching optimism, it has been a blessing to have them around them, a home that must have felt such a beautiful sanctuary and a safe harbour into which to return from the stress and the worry of the medical procedures and conversations. So many of us will have such wonderful memories of Julie at Maroubra. My most endearing will always be the way Jules could stand there in a magnificent 1970s bikini and move only to top up her margarita or to take a dip in the pool, and yet magically and inevitably say "grubs up," and we would turn to find that a spectacular and delicious feast had just materialised on the kitchen counter. A wonderful friend, a fabulous host, a true bon vivant. Amongst the visitors to enjoy this hospitality on visits from America were Michael and Daniel, the sons of Julie's brother Peter. They share these words with us. From Michael: "It brings me great pleasure to have had time with you and Nick, time that allowed me to look into the life of my aunt, the coolest aunt that I could ever ask for. I'll never remember exactly what we talked about. I'll never have a chance to truly recall all the stories you told me about my dad, but I'll never forget, how warm, how welcoming you were. And Nick too. How well you fit in the home you created together, the peace and tranquility that surrounded you, your joy for life and your pleasure in living it. You radiate the light of life, and I was honoured to be involved in it. I've learnt to know you in the little time we spent together. One thing we know about life is that we don't get to keep it forever. It's a moment we get to live in, and we all decide what type of living we do while we're here. My teaching practice is designed to educate kids on how to be healthy. But health is not the word I choose. Health won't be with us forever, nor can we pass it on to others. What I like to teach is happiness. We can find happiness through healthy habits, always knowing that healthy habits alone do not protect us from everything. I think once we arrive at a point in life where there is more to look back on than to look forward to, we get to see how life was for us. If you have any doubt, I want you to know that you've inspired me to live out my life the way that makes me happy. From what I could see, you've been doing that since day one. From your unconditional love for Nick to your adventurous travels and laid-back, peaceful living. Although happiness is achieved in different ways for different people, you are the epitome of happiness to me. The way I saw you approach life leads me in my teachings and my daily routine. If there is anything I want you to remember about knowing me, it is that you influenced me to enjoy life the same you showed me how to do. I teach children about you and Nick, the beauty of simplicity and the luxury of it also. No day passes without me being influenced by the side of life you showed me. And from Daniel: I've followed Julie's conditions through updates from Peter, my father, rejoiced on her initial recovery, and grieved knowing that the sickness returned. I'm very sorry for your loss. I know words cannot describe or give justice to what each of us is feeling on this sad day. She's a wonderful woman, a life partner, and an amazing human being. I consider myself lucky to have you and her as my aunt and uncle, and that will never change. Definitely the coolest aunt and uncle out there. You complemented each other, and I know that you both cherished every day of your life together, making every moment count. So friends, I feel I've talked for long enough, I hope not too long. There's so much more that could be said of the life of our beautiful Jules, and you all have your own fabulous memories. I have words from 3 more long-time friends to share, and I believe they sum it up. From Dave Rutherford: as humans, we consider ourselves significant, when in reality we're ephemeral, existing for a mere heartbeat of the universe. Our elders paused from their photosynthesis to regard as much as we regard the frantic insects of summer, their lives condensed in 72 hours of birth, giddy existential joy, reproduction and death. So what of us is enduring? Of what can we say this will be remembered? I love that the last 40 years as a worthy member of that pantheon. That love so rare and special will endure. Nick, in time when there is space in your heart again, remember that love and be proud. Together you made the world better. Your legacy is the love you have for each other. Through it, Jules is with us still. Kia kaha. I'll end with this beautiful summation of Julie from Kathy and Tracy in New Zealand that I feel so describes her character and what it felt to be in Julie's wonderful company. Julie was a rare soul, always positive, always generous, always vital. We remember her fabulous, sleek silver blonde hair, her strong athletic body, her super funky style, her infectious throaty giggle, and of course her trademark patchouli scent, which will always remind us of her. We remember her joyous DJ talents and her instant willingness to party. In the 80s, Nick and Julie saved our bacon when we arrived back in London penniless from backpacking. They took us in without a second thought until we sorted a flat. A treasured memory a few years back was when we partied around their pool with Jules on the decks. We both loved their clever little laser light setup, and the day we left, Jules presented us with our very own. All boxed up ready for New Zealand, a classic Julie move. We loved her for it. It's there at all our parties. We send our most enormous araha to Nick and all the friends there in Sydney. We wish so much that we could be there to send her off in style, but we'll be drinking to her good French bubbly tonight, and we will remember her always. So thank you for listening to Nick. Araha nui, my dear friend. There will be hard days ahead before the memories bring smiles. Kia kaha. Have strength, but please don't be staunch as. Make no lone stand. Put on no brave mask. Jules was not the kind of girl to seek a soldier in her man. Be honest and open, and don't be afraid to be fragile. We've seen and felt and talked about the incredible love around you this week. The araha has flowed and flowed. We know that we, your friends, will listen. We'll absolutely understand. And we are all here for you, and forever will be. Lean on us. Thank you all. Thank you, Anne.
Stephen, thank you for that extraordinary tribute. I'm now going to direct you to our screens. Our next tribute is from Julie's brother Peter in China.
Hey Julie, here we are. You took off without telling anyone where you're going. It's not supposed to happen like that. I'm the one that's supposed to go first, not you. Anyway, I think we can forgive you this time. I'm happy we had the chance to talk a couple of weeks ago. And I think you'll agree that there was a moment where we knew or could feel it might be the last time we talked to each other. So I'm very happy we had the chance to talk to each other. I also know I haven't been a great brother. I've been away for the last 40 odd years, always in the wrong part of the world. Shouldn't be there. I vaguely remember when we went to pick you up as a baby, bring you home. Growing up together. I always remember you as a beautiful, peaceful, strong person. And that's how I'll remember you forever. I know you wouldn't want us to be sad or miserable, so I won't be like that. I don't believe in all this kind of religious stuff, but what I do believe in is angels. And I believe the world just got a new, wonderful angel. So please take care of us. We're going to need you down here. It's a bit of a wild world. It's getting a bit messy down here. So I want to finish with a little lullaby. Help you on your journey to your next adventure. Whatever that might be or wherever it might be. Okay? Enjoy yourself. Make some new friends wherever you go. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. When the glorious sun has set, and the grass with dew is wet, then you show your shining light, twinkle, twinkle, all the night. When the golden sun doth rise, fills the sky with shining light, then you fade away from sight, shine no more, till comes the night. Take care. I love you. Bye-bye.
Deep breath, everybody. Mark is going to share some of his favourite stories with us.
The other day, after Julie passed, Nick and I were sitting talking, and he spoke to me about how he went to use Julie's phone to send a message to everybody that was bad news, and when he went to go and put an emoji, attach an emoji to it, in her saved emojis, there was nothing that showed a sad face. There was nothing that showed an angry face. It was all love hearts. It was all beautiful symbols. So when I tried to think about how I would reflect on her life, I thought about the things that she loved, and Julie was the sort of person that she was just so full of love. It was incredible. Over 30 years, in the 30 years that I've known her, and there's going to be some double up here because of Steve's beautiful words, but there were things that she loved that connected me to her. Travel and adventure was one of our favourite things in the world. And I remember the first trip that we went on, we went up to Seal Rocks, and you guys can see you're already smiling. Back in the day, I was a fairly heavy smoker, and we were sharing a cabin together, and neither Nick or Julie smoked. And I'm sitting there puffing away in this cabin the whole time we were away and so on. And she never said a word about it. She put up with it. She just, honestly, it was amazing. And then to make matters worse, one of the other things that she loved, and anybody who knows well knows she loves coffee. And I made the mistake of taking it to a place that was supposed to have good coffee, and I've got to be honest, it tasted like old dishwater. The frothy coffee shop. Again, she never said anything about it. She kept it quiet for quite some time, and then years down the track, she brought it up. And I'm like, why didn't you say something? But that was just Julie. And to know that she didn't say anything, and after such a horrible, time, we did so many adventures after that, as Steve mentioned. Ayers Rock, we went to Fiji, Lord Howe Island, Byron Bay, up and down the coast. We did bushwalks together. We went to beaches together. We honestly found swimming holes and waterfalls and so on. Julie just loved getting out and going for an adventure. And it was honestly one of my most favourite things to do with her. And it was time and time again that we did it. On one of those adventures, we went down to a little beach just north of Wollongong, the three of us, and we're having a swim, and a little dog came up and made friends with us, a little brown staffy, and Julie called him Andy. He hung around with us all day, and I can still remember, and I'm sure you can too, Nick, as we drove away that day, because it wasn't our dog to keep, the poor little thing was on the standing in the middle of the road with the saddest look on its face, and I can remember how sad Julie was. So she then made sure that when they got back to Sydney, they hunted down a staffy that looked the same and called her Andy, and she became part of the family. She completed the home, and really you can't talk about Jules without dogs being part of her life and how much she loved them. And again, I was the same, and it was one of those things, and of course now Spud as part of that family as well. She loved her home, and when it came to Julie, she was very house proud. Going into her house is like going into a funky art museum. She's very good at, both Nick and Julie, very good at making it seem just seamlessly easy to live in this glorious environment. It was just amazing. But one of the things that I loved most about it was how much she made you feel at home. As a single guy, younger, you know, she took me in as part of the family. I was there regularly. And as Steve pointed out, honestly, you'd turn back and there was this restaurant quality meal in front of you. It was just incredible. She loved her food, she loved her coffee, and as everybody knows, she loved her tequila and her margaritas. And honestly, we've had thousands of them, I'm sure. Excuse me. One of the things that always filled the house, though, was laughter. Jules had an amazing sense of humour. She loved to laugh, and I can still hear the sound of her laugh. It was gorgeous. I'll always remember it, and I loved it. And I was always happy if I was the idiot that was making her laugh from doing something stupid. The other thing that filled the house was music. And I'd challenge anybody in this room or watching to, if you've been in Nick and Julie's house, to tell me a time when you were there when the music wasn't playing. There was the odd occasion when Nick we'd talk to each other and he'd say, Jules has gone out. It's great. I can sit out the back with no music on. But it was beautiful and it was amazing music. She had a great taste in music, and one of the things that she loved to do was dance. And I can't tell you how many times we'd have dance. I can see her on the dance floor with her bell-bottom jeans on, you know, flared jeans or something shiny. There was always, you know, mirror balls and so on around the house and so on, and we'd shimmy across the dance floor to each other, hug each other and say how much we loved each other, and then ponder, how many dances do you think we've had together? And her answer was always the same, thousands, and I hope we have thousands more. All the travel and adventure and the stuff in the house and the music and the parties and the shiny things and all that sort of stuff meant absolutely nothing without her friends. Her love for her friends was immense. The first time I met Julie, Nick and I worked together, and he brought me home and we met and so on, and I've got to be honest, the first couple of times we sort of met, I got the impression that Julie didn't like me. Maybe I'm a quiet taste, or I don't know, but the reality was, what I soon found, and I know this from over the years with all of her friends, was that she was very choosy about who she selected as a friend, because she knew that once you were her friend, it was all in. That she was going to love you with every ounce of her being. She loved more than any other person I think I've ever met in my entire life. But the one thing that she loved more than anything in this world was Nick. As Steve pointed out, it's a relationship that everybody looks up to. It was a love that just can't be described. She loved you so much. You were her world, and I know that she was yours. Julie was not religious at all, nor am I, but we were both very spiritual, and we believed that there was something bigger than all of us, and that there was an energy that connected us all, and so on. And just shortly before her passing, there was an event that was happening out at Ayers Rock, and she asked me, we had a big chat about it, that people around the world were going to be meditating at the same time. And at 9:03 p.m. on a particular day, she asked me to meditate for her, and I said, yep, I will do that. I set my alarms to make sure I wasn't asleep at that time, and I got up, I made sure, and I meditated. I spoke to her a couple of days later, and I said, Jules, I meditated for you. And this was kind of typical of her. She goes, I actually got the time wrong. She said it wasn't 9:03, it was supposed to be 7:03. But she said it doesn't matter, because we were putting love out into the world, and that was the important thing. Jules was filled with love, and I will be forever grateful that she loved me. And I'm sure that everyone in this room feels the same. I said it before you left, Jules, and I'll say it again. I love you, and I'll miss you forever. You're like a sister to me. Thank you.
Another beautiful tribute. Thank you, Mark. We're now going to pause on the stories and take a moment to look back on Julie's life with a visual tribute. You will all remember her in your own way and the path that you have walked with her. The special occasions, the big events that you all had together throughout her life. And I'm certain there are many experiences that you have shared, but most of all, remember Julie as she was. And as we are reflecting and remembering, we will be watching a beautiful image tribute whilst you open up your hearts to these memories. Such a beautiful, amazing woman. Tracy, would you come forward, please?
I'd just like to say hi, Jules, I know you're here. My spiritual sister, Jules, I bid you farewell from this mortal life. In the time you spent here, you were loved so much as you loved people so much. We connected on a spiritual level. Your gypsy heart and soul will carry you safely to your next life. I give you a rose quartz heart to carry you with unconditional love. I dropped this one, sorry, Mother. And black volcanic rock as a symbol of our gypsy mother. Our black Madonna will protect you. The angel, the amethyst angel, my friend, this is you. A symbol that soothes the saddened heart, dispels grief, and brings peace and joy, because that's you, Jules. Our time together was brief, but we'll meet again, my dear friend. And until that day, I can hardly wait. There you go, Jules. As if she'd missed out on this.
Thanks, Tracy. For our final tribute, certainly not last but least, Sale, would you come forward, please?
When I think of Jules, I think of this gorgeous, golden, silvery, sparkly, bright, bright light. Her light and her joy, her effervescence was something people gravitated to, like moths to a flame, or like, in Jules' case, dancers to a disco ball. Jules was my best friend. I know there's probably several of us here today, and overseas as well, that would say the same, which I think says a lot about Jules. She was one of those rare souls who could share her love with many. Her love and her kindness was not saved up for just one or two of us. Julie's love was always generous and was never judgmental, and it held no conditions. Her love didn't wane on a bad day or thin out if you'd not been your best. Once Julie was your friend, she was a friend for life. Not only did Julie's love know no bounds, but also her positivity. She always had a way of seeing the silver lining in a situation, no matter how bad. She always managed to see the good in someone. To me, she seemed to have an endless supply of love, positivity, and compassion. I remember a time in our friendship when I was going through a really tough time in my life. And Julie rushed to my side and she wrapped me up in her compassion and love, which is what a good friend does. But what was incredible about Julie was that she helped me to see how the situation could actually be a wonderful opportunity to grow and for things to end up being better than ever. She kept telling me that when she rang me each day to check on me, and after a while I started believing her, and of course she was absolutely right. Jules had this gentle way of imparting her positivity onto you, and she would turn dark into light. She was, of course, our very own white witch. She had potions and lotions and crystals for everything. Jules had even made a weather charm which turned clouds into a beautiful sunny day. Maybe we should have bought it today, Nick. She and Nick created a tranquil oasis-like garden which they always generously shared with their friends. When you look around their garden and indeed their home, Julie's creativity and positivity and impeccable style is everywhere. As Nick says now, the place is like a shrine to Julie. She was very modest about her creative skills, but her personal touch, those handmade things, and the thoughtfulness is another thing we all loved and will treasure about Jules. Her genteel nature also applied to animals, and she especially loved this little guy. And of course, beautiful Andy. Both fur babies were totally spoilt rotten, and Jules would have it no other way. She was kind to all of nature's creatures. She didn't eat meat or dirty bottom feeders of the sea. She lovingly fed a troop of rainbow lorikeets every day in their beautiful garden. She even once brought a dead bee back to life before my very eyes. That was how magical and tender she could be. Julie and I loved each other like sisters. I figured out this week that Julie was actually 12 years older than me. I never realised. That was not only because her beauty defied her age, but so did her attitude. Jules used to say, "You make your own fun." And what I think she meant by that is that it doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing, it's having the right attitude that brings the joy. And her joy was contagious. When Jules and I first connected, I just felt like we were made from the same mould. We just clicked. We loved being silly together and getting dressed up in fancy dress, making up dance moves, just having pure fun. The four of us, Nick, Julie, Taj and I, just loved each other's company. I remember weekends where we'd spend an entire day playing ping pong tournaments at our house and drinking cocktails half the night. And then the next day, we'd want to hang out again. And so we'd come over to their house in Maroubra and spend the whole day in the pool, drinking more cocktails. It was just like we wanted to lap up all the good times before they evaporated. It's like we knew it couldn't last forever. Many of us have felt shocked that Julie seemed to have gone so quickly. We'd all hoped to at least say goodbye. But remember, Jules had actually been living on borrowed time for nearly a year and a half. In late 2019, the doctors had given her just 3 months to live, but she defied them all, and she was having none of it. She dug in those sparkly heels of hers and decided to fight this thing her way. She and Nick left the country and all the medical naysayers and spent 2, maybe 3 months in Thailand, throwing everything she could at those dark shadows on her scans. Jules left Sydney unable to walk and in fact in a wheelchair in Thailand, and she miraculously returned home with her light once again renewed, and much to Spud's and everyone's joy, able to walk again. Her grit, her determination, and her eternal positivity had defied the odds, and we were all so proud of our golden girl. She said to me, "I never knew how strong I was until I got cancer." Just another one of her silver linings. And for the most part of last year, Jules had been able to enjoy a life almost as normal again. For me, my admiration and love for her grew even deeper. But she was always working on it, trying to find every possible way of becoming cancer-free, or at least extending her time with us. She didn't have a team of medical professionals supporting her. She had a wonderful team of friends. And of course, her amazing man, Nick, who graciously and respectfully supported Jules doing it her own way. She chose not to listen to the doom and gloom, and she chose to remain positive. She chose to live, to quietly fight, and to give all of us here a little more time with her while she was still smiling and beautiful. She wouldn't have wanted to say sad goodbyes. She would have wanted us to remember sharing good times with her while her beautiful blue eyes were still sparkling. The night before Julie transcended from this world, a beautiful, white, multifaceted flower bloomed in their garden. This special flower, called the Night Queen, only blooms for one precious night each year. And if you are lucky, you might catch her in bloom and savour her beauty and her scent, because the next day she's gone. Our Jules was truly a rare flower, blooming for just a short time. But her scent and her beauty has left an impression on us all that will last forever. She gave us so much of herself. and I feel blessed to have been her friend, as I'm sure you all do too. Her love and kindness was true and from the heart. Her suffering is no longer, and her spirit and light is with us forevermore. Let's be at peace with this. Thank you.
Again, another beautiful tribute. Thank you, Sale. There is so much you all treasure about this beautiful lady. Her encompassing warmth, her calming voice, her beautiful smile, and of course her amazing smell. Her boundless energy, her courage, and her friendship. Her sharp mind, her intelligence, her love of nature and the great outdoors, and the memories of her travel all across the world. Julie's rich and remarkable life was hers, and she lived it to its fullest and its finest. Julie, we now tenderly hold on to these memories for you. Everyone here, you are the keepers of the stories and the memories and the dreams. You are now the caretakers of Julie's life and her life story. You are the keepers of her ongoing presence and legacy amongst this family and her friends. We are now going to take a moment of personal reflection on Julie's life. And during this time, I would welcome anyone who would like to come forward and place a frangipani in remembrance on her casket and to say a final goodbye. Or you may like to hold a favourite memory of Julie in your thoughts during this time. Chris, could I ask you just to direct some people? Mark, I think you're going to hold the basket. Thank you. Organising a funeral is never easy, especially when you are grieving the loss of someone that you loved so much. To everyone, family and friends who contributed to putting this service together, and I know that there are many of you, especially Sarah, Sale and Taj, Paul, Jeff, Mark and Steve, and of course Nick. To those who sent flowers and messages of love, to those who have donated to Julie's favourite charity, to those who have shared their memories with us today, Julie's family are truly, truly thankful for you all. To Nick, everyone here shares your grief. They are so grateful for the love and the care you gave to Julie and for sharing your life with her for almost 40 years. I encourage you all to remain connected with Nick and to offer him the continued support that you have done so. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Chris and all the staff from Walter Carter Funerals for their love and care of Julie and her family and friends this past week or so. Thank you, Chris. In time, Julie's light will not be diminished by her lack of physical presence, but will live on in the hearts of you all and the millions of memories she has created in her time with you. And as we are coming to the final part of our service today, may I ask you all to follow these instructions. A short time after our final piece of music begins, our funeral directors will begin to guide everyone from the chapel, from the back first. Once the chapel has been vacated, Nick and Spud will stay to say their final goodbye. Julie will remain inside the chapel as you all head down together at the Coast Golf Club. I'm also very aware that it is raining outside. So once you leave the chapel, I would like you all to start moving down towards the golf club. If you are parked in our car park, you will be required to move your car down to the club car park. Could I ask everyone to please stand? As we leave this place in peace, may those who are left behind carry into the world something of significance that Julie has left as a legacy. Julie, as we say goodbye to you, we say thanks. Thank you for the care, the connection, and the love that you shared with all those whose lives you touched. You will always remain in their memories. Lovingly and tenderly, we now entrust you back into nature's care. We leave you now with our loving blessings to rest in peace for all eternity.
Yo. Me, plug 3, the one they call Baby Huey, the one that gets all the buddy. All the buddy. Yeah, that's right.
A fat funky fruit with a whole lot of tang. A little something called doing our own thing. Breaking the beat, others wish they broke. Baseline so dope that you just might choke. Don't bite on something that you can't chew. And don't trail behind when I'm coming through. Frontin' the feel that you really can't feel. Cause you're trying to feel what's on my reel to reel.
A tree is growing. Can't you see what I see? A ripe new fruit to boot. We count to 10 before we're past the coots. Now that's family. Equipped with the brothers and the sisters and the sisters and the brothers and all the others with the funky flares, the bugged out hairs. It's the life of Riley. I'm really ready, gazing at the Gallowfield rap. The cool June bugs, the wicks, the wax. Praise the rhythms for what it be, and praise the Lord for the JBs.
We're doing our own thing. 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 Isn't it cool when you cut your hand and the blood is red instead of sellout green? This is not music for an R&B mind. This is flower intertwined with a vine.
In other words, this is raw.
You see what I mean, or see what Grandpa Bam saw? The funk we transmit is unstable. One condition if I am able to say.
Yes, you may.
Well, hey, let's get on with it. Vocal confetti is thrown, sometimes spit it out the vents of hecklers and fans. Either which way, they all hop on the band. The band, the band. Here comes the band, a tribe of fingers all on one hand.
Me, myself, and I is dark. Moni love, the mouthpiece is now yours to spark.
Testimony, the only one here who missed the plane back to London. Resided with my brothers and I learned a lot from them. About the groove, how to be smooth and plain funky. And sometimes rated it's kinda funky, but it's cool. For we are beyond the stereotype. Coordination crazy, but still it sounds hype. Rockin' off and on beat, and I do believe I'm right.
You're right.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Don't be mad, be glad I missed the plane. I'm staying with my brothers Jungle Soul and the tribe I'm saying. Funky, funky rhymes that always stay in swing. I believe we doing our own thing.
Doing it. We're doing our own thing. Doing it. We're doing our own thing. Doing it. We're doing our own thing. Doing it. We're doing our own thing.
Well, my family sets all the trends from soul to soul on to loose ends. A&R men sign groups like
Cause
him.
that's where the money's at, honey.
Yeah, the industry's filled with copycats. R&B mixed with sloppy raps. Tribes like us always open doors. But what for? So you can get yours? You ain't into it, all you want is profit. So I ask you please to stop it. Leave me alone, get off my bone. Cause I'm doing my own.
A new seed, a new breed, a new menu to feed the greed. A new pair of boots for a new piece of butt. Sweet daddy, are you there?
Sammy B is on the cut.
Spinning back for a rap that's laid back. Ready to kick back, those who give no slack. I may rock a rhyme or may start to sing, but still I'm doing my own thing.
In comes the mood of jungle and daisies. Play the saying, let the vibes raise me. All hold hands and let's walk about. Form a circle and talk about. Don't follow the path that we're stepping. Truth to the soul's what I'm cramming. Reasons for this is the family strong, like Bob Marley said. Seeing's believing, so see and believe. And let the groove of the new proceed. A whole bunch of love, peace signs, and fun. So let's do what's got to be done, you know?
Well, personally, I feel, you know, we doing our own thing, you know, not stereotype or anything like that. And I believe that's a healthy thing to do. What do you think?
Right now I feel that the new tongue begun. So, you know, we gotta move on.
I don't see anything wrong with what we doing.
Yeah,
Just got to bring back the funk.
I feel doing my own thing, you know. We can black fog if we want to.
We pass the coolies, you can have some cake and have fun and just keep on doing all right.
I think I can talk about and look at my movies, bloodsucker freak, just like your mama. Yo.
Me, plug 3, the one they call Baby Huey, the one that gets all the buddy.
All the money.
Yeah, that's right.
A fat funky fruit with a whole lot of tang. A little something called doing our own thing. Breaking the beat, others wish they broke. Baseline so dope that you just might choke. Don't bite on something that you can't chew. And don't trail behind when I'm coming through. Frontin' the feel that you really can't feel. Cause you're trying to feel what's on my reel to reel.
A tree is growing. Can't you see what I see? A ripe new fruit to boot. We count to 10 before we're past the coots. Now that's family. Equipped with the brothers and the sisters and the sisters and the brothers. And all the others with the funky flares, the bugged out hairs. It's the life of Riley. I'm really ready. Gazing at the gala-filled rap. The cool June bugs, the wicks, the wax. Praise the rhythms for what it be. And praise the Lord for the JBs.
We're doing our own thing. 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 Isn't it cool when you cut your hand and the blood is red instead of sellout green? This is not music for an R&B mind. This is flower intertwined with a vine.
In other words, this is raw.
You see what I mean, or see what Grandpa Bam saw? The funk we transmit is unstable. One condition if I am able to say.
Yes, you may.
Well, hey, let's get on with it. Vocal confetti is thrown, sometimes spit it out the vents of hecklers and fans. Either which way, they all hop on the band. The band, the band. Here comes the band, a tribe of fingers all on one hand. Me, myself, and I is dark. Moni love, the mouthpiece is now yours to spark.
Testimony, the only one here who missed the plane back to London. Resided with my brothers and I learned a lot from them. About the groove, how to be smooth and plain funky. And sometimes rated it's kinda funky, but it's cool. For we are beyond the stereotype. Coordination crazy, but still it sounds hype. Rockin' off and on beat, and I do believe I'm right.
You're right.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Don't be mad, be glad I missed the plane. I'm staying with my brothers Jungle Soul and the tribe I'm saying. Funky, funky rhymes that always stay in swing. I believe we doing our own thing.
Doing it. We're doing our own thing. Doing it. We're doing our own thing. Doing it. We're doing our own thing. Doing it. We're doing our own thing.
Well, my family sets all the trends from soul to soul on to loose ends. A&R men sign groups like them.
Cause that's where the money's at, honey.
Yeah, the industry's filled with copycats. R&B mixed with sloppy raps. Tribes like us always open doors. But what for? So you can get yours? You ain't into it, all you want is profit. So I ask you please to stop it. Leave me alone, get off my bone. Cause I'm doing my own.
A new seed, a new breed, a new menu to feed the greed. A new pair of boots for a new piece of butt. Sweet daddy, are you there? Sammy B is on the cut. Spinning back for a rap that's laid back. Ready to kick back those who give no slack. I may rock a rhyme or may start to sing, but still I'm doing my own thing.
In comes the mood of jungle and daisies. Play the sing and let the vibes raise me. All hold hands and let's walk about. Form a circle and talk about. Don't follow the path that we're stepping. Truth to the soul's what I'm cramming. Reasons for this is the family strong, like Bob Marley said. Seeing's believing, so seeing.